The station hung in silence above the burning heart of the unstable star, its structure like a silver spiderweb against the endless black. From a distance, the glowing star Erebus 9 looked calm, like a sun taking a quiet breath. But inside, every pulse carried enough power to tear the entire station apart if anything went wrong. Dr. Lena Corvin stood by the observation deck window, her fingers tapping gently against the transparent panel. She had grown up dreaming about space, but no classroom or textbook could have prepared her for this view. A sea of plasma swirled below, alive and dangerous. Her reflection shimmered faintly over the star's light. Behind her, soft footsteps echoed, light and rhythmic, not quite human. She didn't have to turn to know who it was. Kaelrin, she said with a small grin. Kaelrin, a Cerulean diplomat and scientist, moved with a calm grace that always reminded Lena of water flowing. His skin wasn't really skin at all, but a smooth, glass-like surface that shimmered with faint lights beneath. Living circuits. His tall frame leaned slightly forward, curious, gentle. When he spoke, his voice carried a clear, soft tone. You should not stand so close to the shield, Lena. It can shift without warning. I like the view, she replied. Besides, you're always worrying. His skin brightened slightly, and what she had learned was amusement. I do not worry. I observe. Their friendship had grown in small steps over the months. Humans and Ceruleans were still learning to trust each other, to build something more than diplomatic words. The research station orbiting Erebus 9 was a shared project, a fragile bridge between two very different worlds. Lena leaned back, turning to face him. His skin pulsed softly with blue light, the Cerulean equivalent of a casual smile. She liked teasing him, mostly because he didn't quite know how to respond to human humor. You always observe, she said, raising an eyebrow. But have you ever just enjoyed something without calculating the probability of disaster? He tilted his head. I calculate to prevent disaster. Lena laughed. Exactly my point. For a moment their gazes met, human brown eyes and glowing crystal blue. It was a strange, silent friendship, born in the emptiness between stars. She often felt like the odd one out among the alien scientists. But with Kaelrin, the silence was never uncomfortable. She noticed the lights along his collarbone were flickering in a gentle spiral. She had learned that these patterns were part of how Ceruleans communicated, both emotionally and technically. The swirling lights were soft, lazy, almost like a wave. You look, she tried to find the right word. Peaceful, peaceful. He seemed amused. My system is stable. Then let me try something. She stepped forward with a playful grin. Lena, Kaelrin said carefully, but she was already moving. She raised her hand and traced a small glowing spiral in the air with her fingertip, mimicking the pattern on his chest. She thought it was harmless. Just a little joke. She wanted to see if he would laugh, or whatever the Cerulean version of laughing was. But the moment her hand completed the shape, the lights along Kaelrin's body flared like a sudden flare in the night. He froze. Lena, what did you just do? I just copied you, she stepped back. It was a joke, a low hum filled the air. It wasn't coming from Kaelrin. It was coming from the station. All around the observation deck, lights flickered from calm blue to warning orange. A deep vibration rolled through the floor, and the transparent panel behind Lena darkened automatically as the station entered alert mode. Kaelrin's skin pulsed rapidly with sharp, bright lines. That gesture, he said slowly, his voice steady but urgent. It is not a symbol, it is a command. The floor beneath them shuddered. Warning sirens began to scream. Command? What command? Kaelrin moved quickly toward the interface on the wall. His fingers, sharp and elegant, tapped on glowing panels. Lines of alien code flashed across the screen. You activated the Stellar Containment Protocol, your biometric signal. It has been registered by the Cerulean system as a control node. Lena blinked. Wait, what? He looked at her with a mixture of confusion and something close to fear. You are connected to the star. In the main control hub, the alarms rang louder. Technicians, both human and Cerulean, rushed to their stations. A swirling projection of the star filled the room. Streams of unstable energy danced around it like bright ribbons. Commander Yates, a broad-shouldered human officer with tired eyes, turned sharply when Lena and Kaelrin entered. Corvin, what did you do? Lena swallowed. I just made a hand gesture. A hand gesture? Yates barked. You triggered a Class A containment protocol with a hand gesture? Kaelrin stepped in smoothly. The gesture is a Cyrillian command. She could not have known. The commander ran a hand over his face. And now what? I'm looking at power spikes across the entire fusion containment network. The projection of the star was glowing brighter. Pulses of energy rippled through the station's shield grid. Kaelrin pointed to the screen. Her signal is bound to the system. It is reading her as an active control point. The protocol is designed to merge the signal with the star's magnetic field. Yates stared at Lena. Are you telling me she's part of the containment field now? Kaelrin nodded. Yes. The station was no longer stable. Deep below, where human technology and Cyrillian crystal architecture fused into a single system, energy surged in sharp, violent pulses. It was like the star itself had felt Lena's touch and responded with fire. Lena sat in the medical bay with a dozen cables attached to her hands and neck. Her heartbeat was racing, but the monitor next to her showed not just human data, alien patterns too. A glowing line linked her pulse to the energy field around Erebus 9. Kaelrin stood beside her, analyzing the data. His lights were steady now, but the tension in the air was thick. I didn't mean for this to happen, Lena whispered. I know, he replied. But meaning and result are different things. She forced a shaky laugh. You sound like one of my professors. He tilted his head slightly. I sound like Kaelrin. The door hissed open and Commander Yates entered. His jaw was set, his eyes hard. Doctor, we've got 2 hours before the containment grid reaches critical levels. If it collapses, that star is going to blow a hole through this sector. Lena looked up at him. What are you saying? I'm saying, Yates said slowly, we need to find a way to disconnect you, fast. Kaelrin stepped forward. If you try to force a disconnection, the system may interpret it as a hostile breach. That could accelerate the chain reaction. Yates narrowed his eyes. So what? We just let her sit there plugged into a star? Kaelrin didn't answer. His lights dimmed slightly, a Cyrillian sign of deep calculation. Lena clenched her fists. I can help, Yates frowned. Corvin, no. She looked straight at him. I'm already part of the system. Maybe I can use that. I know the human interface side. Kaelrin knows the alien side. Together, maybe we can stop it. There was a long silence. Finally, Yates let out a slow breath. You've got one shot. They moved down into the core interface chamber, a place few humans had ever been allowed to enter. The air inside was warm, almost alive, humming with energy. A massive glowing structure floated in the center. The stellar conduit, a fusion of alien crystal and human metal. Streams of plasma light pulsed through it like a heartbeat. Kaelrin stood beside Lena as technicians prepared the neural link equipment. She tried to steady her breathing, but her hands shook slightly. He leaned closer, his voice softer than usual. You are frightened. Of course I'm frightened, she whispered. Good, he said. Fear keeps humans sharp. She blinked at him, then laughed nervously. Is that supposed to be comforting? It is a fact, he said simply. She shook her head. You really don't get sarcasm. The neural interface attached to the back of her neck. A rush of cold energy slid through her body as the system synced. The glowing core responded immediately. The star's pulse spiked as if recognizing her. Kaelrin placed one of his crystal hands on the interface beside her. His skin pulsed with matching light. All systems are linked, the technician reported. If this fails, the containment field collapses. Yates's voice came through the comms. Corvin, you don't have to do this. Yes, I do, Lena said. This is my mess. I'm going to fix it. The chamber darkened as the link deepened. For the first time, Lena felt the star. It wasn't a machine. It wasn't just energy. It felt like a living thing, vast and wild. She felt its heartbeat, its burning heat pressing against her thoughts. It wanted to escape. It wanted to break free. She clenched her jaw. Not today. Up in the command room, warning lights blinked faster. The star was flaring, a solar wave bigger than anything recorded. Yates stood gripping the rail, watching the energy readings climb. If Lena failed, they wouldn't have time to evacuate. Inside the core, Lena's breathing grew shallow as the star's pulse pushed harder. Kaelrin's voice reached her through the neural link, calm and clear. Follow the rhythm. Do not fight it. Guide it, she focused. Her mind felt stretched thin, but she saw the patterns forming. Magnetic loops, plasma arcs, unstable bridges between alien technology and human systems. She moved through it like navigating a storm with no map. Her hand lifted, glowing faintly as the star's pulse flowed through her veins. Kelren adjusted the alien control node, guiding her like a steady hand in chaos. Minutes passed like hours, and then, suddenly, something shifted. The control readings on every screen showed that the containment field had stabilized for now, but it was fragile. One wrong move, one tiny change, and the energy around Erebus 9 could tear the station apart like paper. Dr. Lena Corvin sat on the edge of a steel platform inside the core chamber, the glow of the alien machines flickering across her face. She felt exhausted. The neural link had pushed her mind to its limit, and though the pulse between her and the star had become steady, it still thrummed in the back of her skull like a drumbeat. Kelren stood close by, scanning a floating crystal display. His skin shimmered in cold silver light, with streaks of orange and blue racing down his arms like flowing data. His expression was unreadable, but Lena had learned to read the patterns in his light. He was worried. "You are still connected," Kelren said softly. Lena gave a weak laugh. "Yeah, kind of hard to ignore the sound of a star in your head." "It is not a sound. It is a pulse. A living pattern." She tilted her head. "Whatever it is, it's loud." The metal door hissed open and Commander Yates stormed into the chamber with 2 engineers behind him. His voice carried the kind of authority that could fill any room. "Report." Kelren turned. "The field is stable for now, but the star is reacting. It is as if it has recognized her." Yates frowned. "Recognized? It's a ball of fire, not a pet." Kelren's lights flared briefly. "Erebus 9 is not a normal star. It contains an ancient energy lattice, something your people have not yet fully studied." Yates folded his arms. "And let me guess, that lattice is the reason my station is sitting on top of a potential supernova?" Lena sighed. "Commander, the field's holding, but it's not going to hold forever." Yates looked at her, his face hard but not cold. He wasn't an unkind man, just a man who had seen too many disasters. "How long?" Kelren answered before she could. 3 hours. Maybe less." The engineers behind Yates exchanged uneasy looks. Everyone on the station knew what that meant. If the containment failed, the blast from the star would wipe out the station, and possibly a good part of the nearby trade route. Yates exhaled sharply. "All right. Then we find a way to break this link before that happens." Rising pressure back in the command hub, tension filled the air like static before a storm. The large projection of Erebus 9 burned brightly in the center of the room. Lines of code, alien symbols, and human system warnings covered the displays. The containment grid was holding, but the star's magnetic field was twisting in unpredictable ways. "It's building energy in the southern pole," one technician said, voice shaky. "Radiation spike incoming," another added. Lena stood with her arms folded, listening to every word. Kelren was beside her, his hands moving quickly across the alien interface. The humans had given him full control of that station section now. No one else understood Cerulean technology like he did. Yates walked to Lena. "You've got a connection to that star. Can you control it?" She shook her head. "It's not like piloting a ship, Commander. It's not listening to commands. It's like standing in a river and trying to push the water back. Then we need another option." Kelren's lights shifted to a bright, focused white. "There is another way," he said. "But it will not be safe." Lena raised an eyebrow. "I already guessed that." He turned toward the room. "The stellar conduit has a secondary structure. It was designed to allow a single mind to act as a regulator in emergencies, a Cerulean regulator." Yates caught on quickly. "And since she accidentally became that regulator, she can guide the energy," Kelren finished. "But the system was never meant for a human mind. It will not hold long." Lena crossed her arms tighter. "How long?" Kelren hesitated. His lights dimmed slightly. "Minutes." The room went quiet. Yates stared at her like she had just volunteered to walk into fire. "You're not doing it." Lena straightened her back. "We don't have another choice. There has to be a way to separate you." "There isn't. Not in time," Kelren said calmly. "We must work with the star, not fight it." Yates slammed his fist lightly against the console. "I'm not losing another person to one of these protocols." Lena stepped closer, lowering her voice. "If we do nothing, we lose everyone. I can help, Commander, and Kelren can guide me." Yates clenched his jaw. He hated this. But he also knew she was right. The plan they gathered around the central hollow table. The star rotated slowly in the air like a glowing ember. with streams of magnetic energy twisting around it. Kelleran pointed to a narrow bridge of energy extending from the core. "This is where the star's unstable," he explained. "The containment field is too weak to hold the surge." "What happens if it snaps?" Lena asked. Kelleran answered simply, "Everything dies." She nodded once. "Good to know," he continued. "If we connect directly to the lattice, we can redirect the surge into the null field around the station. But it requires a living mind to stabilize the pattern." Yates narrowed his eyes. "What happens to the living mind?" Kelleran paused. His lights dimmed again. "The pressure may break it." Lena took a deep breath. "Then we make sure it doesn't." Yates turned to her sharply. "You're not invincible, Corvin." "I know," she said. "But I'm adaptable. That's what humans do best." For a moment, nobody spoke. The hum of the star filled the silence. Finally, Yates slammed his hand against the table and pointed at Kelleran. "If she's doing this, you stay with her the entire time." Kelleran bowed his head slightly. "I would not allow otherwise." The descent. They returned to the core interface chamber, now filled with more engineers and security staff. Heavy energy conduits ran along the floor. The air was warmer, buzzing with the rhythm of the star. A soft golden light filled the space like the calm before a storm. Lena stood on the platform, staring at the glowing stellar conduit. It pulsed like a giant sleeping heart. She wasn't sure if it was beautiful or terrifying. Kelleran approached with a small metallic device in his hand. A neural stabilizer. "This will help your mind stay anchored," he said. "But it is not perfect." She grinned faintly. "Neither am I." He looked at her for a long moment. The patterns on his skin flickered in a soft wave, a cerulean gesture she had come to understand as respect. She nodded back. The technicians attached new cables to her neural interface. Yates's voice came through the speakers. "Corvin, you're live on every monitor. If anything goes wrong, I'll cut the feed." "You won't have time," she replied. And then the chamber lights dimmed as the system powered up. The alien core came alive with a blinding blue glow. Lena closed her eyes as the pulse of the star flooded her mind again. But this time it wasn't a faint beat. It was a storm, she gasped, gripping the metal railing. Heat filled her chest like fire trying to escape. The star was louder now, bigger, more alive. It wasn't just energy. It moved like something aware. Kelleran's voice echoed through the neural link. "Focus on the lattice, not the storm." She forced herself to breathe. In. Out. Slowly, she saw shapes, glowing strands twisting like vines through darkness. This was the heart of Erebus 9. Fighting the fire outside, the radiation alarm screamed. The star was flaring again and the containment field wavered. In the control room, Yates barked orders while technicians rushed to reroute power. Magnetic pressure rising. Conduit field at 65% and dropping. Yates gripped the edge of the console. "Come on, Corvin." Inside the core, Lena walked through a storm of glowing energy in her mind. Kelleran was with her, his voice a calm anchor. "The surge begins," he warned. "If you lose control, the station will burn." "No pressure," she muttered through clenched teeth. The lattice shuddered like a giant waking up. Energy snapped toward her like lightning. The first wave slammed into her mind like an ocean wave hitting a rock. She stumbled back, gasping. Her pulse spiked. Warning lights flashed red. "Lena." Kelleran's voice cut through the noise. "Do not push back. Guide it." She raised her arms in the mental space, letting the current flow around her. It burned, but she endured. Slowly, she found the rhythm. The way the star's power moved like a river searching for escape. I've got it," she whispered. Kelleran's lights flared bright even through the link. "Good. Now redirect it." The human minds were not like cerulean ones. Ceruleans were structured, logical, built like crystal circuits. Humans were chaos, unpredictable, flexible. That chaos gave Lena something the system didn't expect. She didn't follow the star's strict pathways. She twisted them, bent them like ropes around her hands, guiding the surge down the null channel. It was rough, clumsy, but it worked. In the control room, the technicians shouted over one another. "Containment field is stabilizing again. Energy levels are dropping in the southern pole." Yates leaned closer to the screen. "She's doing it." But the star was not finished. A second surge hit, stronger than the first. Lena screamed through clenched teeth as white light filled her vision. She fell to one knee in the mental space, the energy pulling at her like a tidal wave. Kaelrin appeared beside her in the glowing storm, his form like a crystal statue lit from within. He reached out his hand. "Do not fight alone." She grabbed his hand and something changed. The alien and human signals merged for a brief moment, forming a bridge the system had never seen before. Together, they forced the surge into the containment channel. The star screamed as not with sound but with pressure. But it obeyed. Echoes, the control room lights flickered once, twice, and then green. The alarms returned like a heartbeat, sharp, relentless, rising. In the command hub, red lights flashed across the walls. The projection of Erebus 9 had changed. It no longer looked like a ball of fire. The swirling energy now had a strange spiral at its center, moving with purpose. "It's not random anymore," one technician whispered. Commander Yates clenched his jaw. "What do you mean?" Kaelrin's glowing hands moved fast across the alien interface. The lines on his crystal skin pulsed a deep blue, brightening with each calculation. The star is responding, not just flaring and communicating. Lena stood a few steps behind him, pale and tired. Even after everything she had done, the pulse of the star still echoed in her head. It was louder now, more focused. She didn't need the monitors to know something inside Erebus 9 had awakened. She could feel it. "Then who?" Yates asked slowly. "Is it trying to talk to?" Kaelrin turned toward Lena. His lights dimmed. "Her." Lena's breath caught in her throat. She had known this moment was coming. She had felt it since the surge ended. But hearing it out loud made the weight of it real. "A star that thinks." The station trembled softly as if something below was shifting its balance. On the monitors, new energy patterns appeared around the star's spiral core. "It's forming a lattice structure," a Cerulean technician reported in a calm but tense voice. "This is not natural behavior." Yates folded his arms. Translation? Kaelrin looked up from the console. "The star is not just reacting anymore. It is building something." Lena rubbed her temple. "I can hear it," Yates blinked. "You can what?" "It's not words. It's like waves in my head, patterns." She took a breath. "It feels like a question." The entire command hub went quiet. Kaelrin stepped closer to her. His voice was low and serious. "Lena, you are still linked to the star. That makes you the only one who can respond." She stared at him. "You're saying I should talk to a star." "I am saying," Kaelrin corrected gently, "you already are." Yates rubbed his forehead. "This is insane." Kaelrin didn't argue. "It may be insane, but it may also be the only way to save us." The voice of the lattice, they returned once more to the core interface chamber. This time the room felt different. The glowing stellar conduit was no longer pulsing like a machine. It was breathing, slowly, calmly, like something alive. Lena walked onto the platform without anyone telling her to. She knew what had to be done. The star's pull was stronger now, like a thread in her chest tugging her forward. Kaelrin stood beside her again. His lights were sharp and focused. "Lena, if you open the link again, there is no way to predict what will happen." She gave him a tired smile. "When has anything today been predictable?" The neural stabilizer clicked into place at the back of her neck. Her hands trembled slightly as the cables connected, but her eyes remained steady. This was the third time. The final time. She could feel it. The chamber lights dimmed. The star's pulse surged through the link, and her mind fell into the lattice once more. She was no longer standing on a metal platform. She was floating inside a storm of light. The star burned around her, but it wasn't fire. It was energy woven into impossible shapes. Spirals, strands, currents, all moving together like a living mind. In the center of it, the spiral structure twisted like a great eye. A wave hit her, not with words, but with feelings. Curiosity, power, recognition. "You know me," Lena whispered. The lattice flared. Kaelrin's voice echoed faintly through the neural link. "Lena, stay focused." "What do you sense?" "It knows I'm here," she answered softly. "And it's asking." "Ask what?" She frowned, listening. It wasn't easy to explain. It wasn't sound. It was rhythm, vibration, pressure. It was like trying to translate the ocean. But she understood one thing clearly. "It's asking if I'm part of it," she said. A choice up in the control hub, the star's magnetic activity was spiking again. Technicians shouted updates. "Core instability rising." Kaelrin's voice came through the comm. "Do not interrupt the link." "She is still in contact." Yates stared at the readings. We're running out of time. Kael'ren's reply was steady. If we cut her off, we lose everything. Lena stood inside the storm of energy, facing the glowing spiral. It pulsed once more. This time it wasn't just a question. It was an offer. She felt it in every part of her mind. The star was not just alive. It was ancient. A fragment of something older than either human or Cerulean civilizations. It had been sleeping inside the unstable core for centuries. Now it wanted to wake and it wanted to connect. Kael'ren's voice broke through again. Lena, you must answer it. She clenched her fists. And if I say yes? I do not know. She took a deep breath. And if I say no? Then the containment may collapse. Lena closed her eyes. She thought of the station, of the people running through the corridors, of the engineers, of Kael'ren standing just beyond the platform. She thought of Earth, far away but still home. She wasn't ready to die, but she was even less ready to let everyone else die. She opened her eyes. All right, she whispered to the star. Then listen. Human defiance. The lattice brightened, flooding the chamber with blinding light. Energy levels spiked across every monitor. She's doing something, one technician shouted. The core is syncing with her. Yates held onto the railing. Hold it together, Corvin. Inside the link, Lena spoke, not with words, but with intent. She pushed images into the storm. Human faces, human laughter, the station, the star itself. She didn't offer surrender. She offered coexistence. The lattice hesitated. The spiral twisted, uncertain, then and the star pushed back. A tidal wave of energy slammed into her, testing her strength. Her knees buckled. Pain flashed behind her eyes. She almost fell, but Kael'ren's voice reached her through the noise. Lena, do not let it break you. Her teeth clenched. I'm not planning to. Human minds were chaotic, messy, but they were also stubborn. She anchored herself on that stubbornness and on everything that made her human. Her will became a wall against the star's storm, the firestorm. The lattice roared, not with sound but with pressure that shook the station to its core. Energy arcs shot across the containment field. Emergency sirens screamed. Radiation levels peaking. Someone shouted, "The shield's holding." Another yelled back. Kael'ren stepped closer to the platform, placing his crystal hand on the glowing node. His lights merged with hers, creating a bridge like before. You are not alone, he said. The star's power slammed into both of them, but together they held. Lena didn't push back this time. She guided the energy again, not to fight the star, but to weave their signals together. Human and alien, flesh and crystal, mind and fire. The spiral flared, spinning faster and faster until the entire lattice structure was blinding. Then, suddenly, silence. A new pulse. The alarms stopped. The vibration in the floor faded. The star projection in the command hub changed from orange-red chaos to soft golden light. The magnetic spikes flattened. Yates stared at the screen. What just happened? Kael'ren's voice came through, steady but tired. She made contact. In the core chamber, Lena fell forward, caught at the last moment by Kael'ren's arms. Her breathing was rough, her skin damp with sweat. But she was alive, and the star's pulse in her head had changed. It was no longer a storm. It was a heartbeat. Slow, gentle, familiar. Yates ran into the chamber a few minutes later, followed by engineers. Report! Kael'ren looked down at Lena, then back at Yates. The star accepted her. Yates raised an eyebrow. Accepted? She did not submit. She showed it something it had not seen in a very long time. Kael'ren explained softly. Choice. A different future hours later. The station floated silently above the golden glow of Erebus 9. The danger had passed. The containment field was stable, not because the star was trapped, but because it had chosen to stay calm. Lena sat in the medbay, wrapped in a blanket, sipping warm water. Her body was weak, but her mind felt strange, as if a part of her still existed inside the star. She could feel it like a distant friend breathing quietly. Kael'ren entered the room, his lights calm and soft. The commander told me to tell you the crisis is over. Lena smiled faintly. I kind of figured. My head's quieter. Kael'ren tilted his head. You did something that even my people believed impossible. She raised an eyebrow. Made friends with a star? In a way, Kael'ren said, sitting beside her. You showed it something different. Humans have a special way of refusing to break. She laughed softly. Yeah, we're stubborn. Stubborn, he repeated. And brave. They sat in silence for a moment, listening to the faint hum of the station. Outside, the golden star shone brighter than ever before. Not in anger, but in peace. Epilogue. The signal a week later, in the quiet of night cycle, Lena returned alone to the observation deck. The stars stretched out before her like silver dust. Erebus 9 glowed beneath the station, warm and alive. She closed her eyes and listened. The pulse was still there, not loud, not demanding, just steady. Like a friend saying, "I'm still here," she smiled. "Yeah," she whispered. "I know." Behind her, Kaelrin approached, footsteps soft as always. "You still hear it?" He asked. She nodded. "I think I always will." He looked at the star, his lights flickering gently. "Then perhaps it is not just you who changed. Perhaps it has changed too." Lena turned toward him. "What now?" Kaelrin's lights pulsed like a heartbeat. "Now we learn to speak to stars.